Hello, welcome. The government of Ghana has been in the business of looking for money to fight COVID-19 pandemic. There have been agreements and disagreements in Parliament. My guest today is a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament and Member of Parliament for Whole Central, Honorable Benjamin Kpodo. We ask you the question about decisions and implications. We mean financial decisions and implications for the government of Ghana. My name is Rastun Gamili Senabe. Welcome to STV and Botamano. Honorable, welcome.
Thank you very much, Rostum.
Yes,
it's a pleasure meeting you and your team.
Thanks so much for welcoming us into your home.
Yes, and I want to send greetings to all your viewers online, wherever they are. And I welcome them to my home as well.
Thank you so much.
Because it's been done over here.
Thank you so much. There have been several debates in Parliament over where we should get money from to fight COVID-19. The President gave an allocation, and since then, so much has been said. What are the key issues related to where we get money from to fight COVID-19?
Yes, when the pandemic broke out, initially it was like we were not ready and were fumbling with what to do. The government first said they had allocated 2,500,000 Ghana cedis to the health service to fight the COVID-19. But before long, we realized that it was more serious. So we had to take a number of measures. Let me be very clear that even though you said there were disagreements here and there.
Agreements and disagreements.
Agreements and disagreements. Our side, the NDC minority in Parliament, is totally in agreement with fast-tracking every effort that will make money available for tackling the solution to COVID-19. The pandemic is life-threatening. And so we were all agreed that we would support genuine efforts that will be made to fight the pandemic that was ravaging not only in Ghana but across the globe. Now, apart from that 2.5 million, the first things that the government did was to come for approval to borrow 100 million from the World Bank. It was a fast-track loan that was made available to the country. So it was in two tranches. First, $35 million US, and then later 65 from the IDA, International Development Association, the wing of World Bank. So that one was taken quickly to enable the health service to start tracking and then providing some form of support for the testing centers, Noguchi and the Kumasi Center. So the government came again because there was need for social intervention to help, because businesses were not operating. Everybody felt at risk, and then these restrictions were also imposed. So people had to isolate themselves. So you see that businesses were affected. So the government came for 218 million. It was like this. We have what we call Ghana Stabilization Fund, which is part of the oil money, which was saved during the administration of ex-President John Dramani Mahama. The Ghana Stabilization Fund was capped at 300 million. So it was not available for government spending throughout until 2016. So that fund has remained 300 million until this period that the need came for us to find some money to do the social interventions that the government wanted to do. So they came to Parliament to reduce the cap to 100, meaning 200 million will now be released to government for spending. Some of us are so happy that at least somebody saved money, because when this government came, not even 1 cent was added to what the previous government had saved. Only 300 million on the Ghana Stabilization Fund, with interest of about $18 million on it. So when they came and asked for a reduction in the cap from 300 million to 100 million, it released $200 million plus the interest accumulated to the government for use as social intervention expenditures.
That has to do with the petroleum revenue management.
The petroleum revenue management is such that after we've taken all the releases to GMPC, and then the foreign people take their monies away, we are left with what we call benchmark revenue. And it's an estimate of the total income that we'll get from the sale of our portion of the oil.
Okay.
Now, 70% of that money goes to what we call annual budget funding amount. It is available for governments to use for mainly capital expenditure projects.
Okay.
The remaining 30% is saved in 2 formats. One part, which is about 70% of it, goes to the Ghana Stabilization Fund.
Okay.
And then the other part goes to the Heritage Fund.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's say that we have $30 million. $21 million will go to the Stabilization Fund, and $9 million will go to
the Heritage
Fund.
Okay.
The Heritage Fund, according to the law, cannot be applied for current expenditure until 2026. It's supposed to be there for 15 years. And since this thing started 2011, the next time that it will be reviewed will be 2026, that year. Then we'll review how to go forward applying that fund. But the other one, which is the Ghana Stabilization Fund, is there for management of any shock that the economy will be faced with.
You said the pandemic was a surprise or it took you by
surprise.
So it can't it be considered as a shock?
It is. But what I'm saying is that rightfully the government came to Parliament to change the cap from 300 to 200, meaning that $200 million is released for use by the government to sort out these pandemic problems. That is it. So it is right. I'm not saying it is not right. Yes, it is right. We can access the fund. But what I'm saying is that we could have done better by increasing it above the 300 that John Dramani Mahama saved. You understand?
How come there was nothing added as you could?
Well, that is the policy of the present government. That they did not want to increase the capping of the stabilization fund. They didn't. So every year, whatever money came into the stabilization fund in excess of the 300 million, they would apply it for debt service or other issues, other expenditures. That is what they have been doing. If they had increased annually, they had increased that fund by even $50 million to 400 million to 450, maybe the borrowing of 100 million from Wellbank will not have taken place because we have money to fall on.
So where were the which key areas were they hoping to push this money into?
No, you see, there's what I'm saying is that
to fight the pandemic.
Yes, the government first allocated some fund out of it, about 40 million, to support those vulnerable people who, because they cannot buy food, they will need some stipends and free food wherever they are. So it's part of the application of the $200 million. Okay. They bought food. They allocated 40.3 million Ghana cedis out of that money to cook and buy food for those people we consider as vulnerable. Because you know, many of our people, when they go out in the morning, work to evening, then whatever they realize is what they use for their day. Now the work is not going on. They cannot work any longer, so they need support. So part of that money has gone there. They have kept half of that money, about $100 million plus, as fund to support small scale and medium sized businesses.
After COVID-19?
No, they'll start disbursing very soon. Yeah, so that they can be sustained. But it's a soft loan which they'll pay back in 2 years. According to the Ministry of Finance, they are still working on, when they visited us last, they said they are working out the modalities for disbursement of that fund. But somewhere in mid-May, beginning from mid-May, they will have concluded the formula for, or the means by which they are going to disburse it. So that money is going there as well. Some are going to support the free water pledged or promised consumers. So the money will be paid to
the utility companies
on behalf of consumers.
Okay.
Yes, because water has become essential commodity now, since we are required to be washing our hands frequently. Yes, so this is another means by which they got money to manage the COVID-19. Then there is a third issue. That one relates to the entire economy, the management of the entire economy. You see, government raises funds from taxes and other non-tax sources. Now, according to the Minister for Finance, because business has gone down, because oil prices have also tumbled, the revenues projected will not be realized.
Okay.
So the economy is losing, at that time, he said 9.5 billion Ghana cedis. So you need to borrow money. That's how we had to go to IMF for $1 billion. So that's the third source from which the government is raising money to run the economy because of the shortfall in revenue from all the sources that I have referred to. But
can we say the IMF was an unavoidable decision?
Yes, IMF has put out about $50 billion for countries which are suffering under the pandemic of COVID-19, where economies are being destroyed, revenue sources are being destroyed. Like, if you realize now, the price of oil has tumbled from our estimate of $60 to under 30.
Any idea of some of the conditions attached to this?
No condition has been attached. It is interest-free, 4.5 years, 5.5 years moratorium, no payment during that period. But it will be due for payment after 5.5 years for a period of 4.5 years to 10 years. So by the 10th year of taking the loan, we should have paid back. So there is no interest on the loan. But the issue is, what specifically, some of the disagreement which you referred to on the floor of Parliament, what specifically are you going to use this 1 billion for? We know that 1 billion is not enough to cover the budget shortfall, the revenue shortfall.
But you are in a privileged position.
I am telling you this.
You should know that.
Yes, yes. That is why I am telling you this. I know very well what the situation is. So we asked the Minister for Finance to explain to us how the 1 billion is going to be applied, because it does not cover the full shortfall in revenue.
Okay.
So tell us that in this budget, we cannot do this, we cannot do that. But with the 4.5 billion, first of all, they said they are going to use 1 billion cedis. You know, when you convert 1 billion to cedis, you get about 5.5 billion Ghana cedis. So they are going to use 1 billion to manage electricity subsidies. So it's left with 4.5 billion for general budget support. But since we approved specific projects, you remember the roads projects that people talked about so much, which of the projects in the budget are you going to execute? Because you don't have money to execute all. So that was one of the major points of disagreement on the floor, that the government was not willing to tell us that this is how we are going to use the 4.5 billion after taking 1 billion for electricity subsidy. That is one agreement, a disagreement. Yes, it was very tough on the floor, but nonetheless, we approved it. The minister promised that he would come to Parliament to update us on how that fund is going to be applied. If he doesn't do it soon, it may be by 31st July, latest 31st July, when a mid-year review is presented to Parliament on the budget. So these are the main sources from which monies are being sourced for management of the COVID-19.
You're also a member of the Development and Rural
Local
Government and Rural Development Committee.
Yes.
Okay. How much was allocated to assemblies?
Yes. When the issue started, 50,000 Ghana cedis was sent to each assembly to initially start managing the pandemic in their local areas. I am yet to meet with the MC, Municipal Chief Executive, to get the details. I have met him, but we planned to meet on Thursday. So Thursday, officially, those details will come out. In addition to that, there is a fund which we call DPAT, that is a District Performance Assessment Tool. It is a kind of fund released to assemblies based on how they assess their performance in managing their various assemblies. So an additional amount of 166,000 Ghana cedis has been released to the assembly for especially COVID-19 projects. This particular one is being targeted towards water management. So it is expected that boreholes will be drilled in areas where supply of water is not regular.
Is any coming to your constituency?
Yes. The 166,000 has already come to my constituency. The 50,000 has already come. So it's a total of 216,000 Ghana cedis that has come, which has come to the assembly. You know, whole central constituency is synonymous with whole municipality. Yes. There is no one town outside the municipality that is not in whole central. So on Thursday, we're going to go into these details. So that's the amount that has come to the local level. The other one, as I talked about earlier, are for national budget management.
Well, if you just join us, this XTV and Water Online, we're having a discussion with the Honorable Member of Parliament for Whole Central, who has been telling us about key government decisions, financial ones concerning the fight against COVID-19. My name is Rastum. Once again, I welcome you to the program. Honorable, let's continue. Let's talk about your role as MP. But even before then, your party also formed a committee or team to either advise government or fight COVID-19. What are the rationale for that position?
Yes. You see, COVID-19 does not know political opponents. It is a virus. Anybody can be, attacked by the virus. So here again, you need some level of cooperation between both sides. We are the two major parties, even in Parliament. I said earlier that we were ready to support government in doing whatever it takes to overcome this pandemic. So outside Parliament, our flag bearer has also constituted a team which will also prefer some advice, suggestions, and even intervene financially and fiscally so as to help combat the COVID-19. That is the reason for doing it. It's not, as I've said,
you don't see it as a parallel structure?
No, it's not parallel. It's not parallel. It's not parallel at all, because the support given so far by us, by our team, has led to some changes in the strategy adopted by the government. For instance, we called for this support to the vulnerable. You see, we called for electricity subsidy. The first application of the stabilization fund money, only water was given attention. But we kept on pressing that, look, people are now at home. They will consume more electricity in their homes than previously. So they also need support. So that was why the government now listened and decided to give subsidy on electricity. And so this loan of $1 billion, they are taking 1 billion Ghana cedis out of it. That's $200 million to meet that subsidy expenditure. So I don't see what is wrong with people exchanging ideas and even possibly giving out handouts to support those that the government cannot reach. There was even this agitation by some colleagues that things were being distributed on party lines.
I was coming to that.
Yes, and so when people saw it and cried out, it drew attention. It drew attention to the fact that no, this is general government strategy to help the vulnerable, and so there shouldn't be any party line distribution of the items.
Do you see parties in this COVID fight trying to?
Well, I saw videos where people were handing out identity cards in order to, get food supplements, which isn't correct. I saw videos. I don't know whether you.
But the authenticity of those videos cannot be established now.
Well, I saw videos, and some of my colleagues saw it physically, and they decided to put it out. You heard the case of Zaneto Rollins, Honorable Zaneto.
She's here to provide evidence to that.
Well, she saw it. If I know her, if she had not seen anything, I don't see the reason why she should spew it out to the public.
But I'm asking whether the politicians are not using this to win points from both sides.
Well, what would politicians do? As usual, everybody would like to show the citizenry that we care, and we care more. We are social democrats, so we have to come in. You cannot say that because you are in government, we shouldn't do anything.
Okay.
Yes, we must also do something. Where government falls short, we should do something to let the people know that we care for them. Even in opposition, we care for them. So our moves, our efforts are very, very important. That is why in my constituency, I started off by educating people. I printed posters showing them how they should behave during this period. Wash your hands regularly. I went on radio. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Wear mask like this. Wear face masks to cover your nose and your mouth whilst going about. Practice social distancing. And when you want to cough, you cannot stop coughing. Use a tissue paper, cough into it, and dispose of it. So I started this education. Then I know that when you say use soap and water to wash your hand, there are things which we can support people with, especially at the public places. So I have gone to the main market, the smaller markets in Ho Central Market, Ahwe Market here. I've gone to Bosime, that is the one in Dome.
So you're talking about all the markets?
Yes.
Or many of them?
All the markets. I went even to Nive. Okay. I did not exclude any. To provide them with...
How are you funding this?
Let me end what I've done.
Okay.
Besides providing some Veronica buckets, hand sanitizers, and liquid soaps for washing hands, and then the educational materials, I also visited, for this market, I also visited all the health facilities in whole Central Constituency, all, none excluded, be it a chief's compound,
hospital, clinic,
health center, hospital, private, public. I assisted all of them with some supplies. It's huge. You know, our constituency is one of the largest, if not the largest, in Volta region. When we talk about facilities, you know that we have more voters in Kpodo South than here. But in terms of households and other facilities, this constituency is the largest in the region. We have the largest number of health posts, CHIPS compounds. We have the largest number of secondary schools. We have 14 secondary schools in the constituency. So we have the regional.
I was asking of the funds. How are you funding these?
Yes, I have lobbied for funds and kept in my account. But as we are sitting here now, I have used my personal money to buy these things. I haven't made any, I've not taken the money that I have even put aside in my fund yet. So far, all the expenditure, about 41,000 Ghana cedis, is from my personal resources.
Thank you so much. I want to wrap up. You want to go back to Parliament. Why should the people of Ho give you the nod again?
That is a very beautiful question. In fact, my NDC people have decided already last August 24, they have decided overwhelmingly that I should go back to Parliament and serve them. You know why? They call me development capo in this constituency.
Development capo?
Yes. Ngoido Wefia. I've brought a lot of development to this constituency. I've brought a lot of development. School activities, school blocks. If you go to the Nurses Training College, there's a star project over there.
With your name on it?
Yes. I didn't name it. It is the council of the Nurses Training College that named it.
You didn't name that project?
No. I just put up a building. And the day that I was commissioning it, they said they were going to give me a surprise. What was the surprise? They went and unveiled my name. So I didn't name it. They said the council took a decision that they would name it after me. But aside of that, you go to Tanybe, you see a huge block over there for basic school, also story building. If you go to virtually all the villages, I have stepped there with some development project.
Okay, why do we draw the line between your work and that of the assembly itself?
Yes, assembly also has its activities, but the assembly may not get into certain areas. It may not conceive certain areas as important for project funding. You see the point? So I am with the people more than the assembly. We didn't elect the MCE. He's appointed by the president. So I'm more in touch with the people. Every day they call me, we need this, honorable, this is happening here. Sometimes the assembly will start a project, may not be able to complete it. I'll have to go and complete like a school block in Tangbe. Yes, that's what I did. If you go to Taviepe Senior High School, they started a borehole, they couldn't complete. I had to go and mechanize it and put polytank on it for them. Some of these facilities.
So these are the things you are doing, and you feel that should be the reason for anybody to vote you back to power.
And next is my performance in Parliament, because I have given
which is your
dignity.
Which is your core duty.
Yes, I've given dignity to whole central constituency. It's very well known in Parliament. I speak on finance issues. I speak on local governance issues. And so, whole central has credibility. You see the point? When
2020 Honorable Prosper P. Bansai Hobliger.
When an assessment was done of the 6th Parliament.
Wrap up.
Yes, when assessment was done in the 6th Parliament, I came second to only Dr. Aveji in the Volta region. That was my ranking.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You are going to the
and we are going to this election year with my opponent, who is currently the MCE. But I've already established myself. So I don't see him having any chance at all. My friend go, hey, you want Tonya? Oh, not in am there, but you may do what I do, Kukumat in that or no, vote to hear you.
Macau Branino.
Eh?
Macau Nana.
NPP Tory.
Bear.
Oh, but you never feel like it is NDC stronghold. Kakamega vote up at you were born. That's it.
I send a mogla, make him Pima Doracona, me Doracona.
Ah, you may say, calling you over development couple. Because there is no community in who center for your medal. Even Nicho, some problem came up. Rainstorm that destroy and we'll so called and go and see the place. I went there.
Honorable Finia Jamijiva na phone and Yato to the Mofia, let me have a COVID-19, you can't tell one.
Yes, Medibe, I'm a Siamani Yaberi. COVID-19, men uncle 11 COVID-19 element is real. Yatala, Nico Kenya be my lemudi. Ya Jeremy walk. Ya per region, if you're on a walk, you bought a hula, I'm a vet. Put test positive. You see, no be a study. I'm a better you total year of your book. That are the first thing. Megano, a better a yamas without covering our mouth. Yata, but demonstrate, when be a pepela, a call pepper, cobunu, ya pepe for quite down there. I see cockle edgy, elevere. Ne me clasiola, Tabana call hand sanitizer, Keko Titirasi. I see Nana, play a 2 hour namela, ni didi. You see, a say worry, can you blame it? Oh, me de akpave, the kanyabe, and lomau, a velebe and lohavi. COVID-19 fẹ́ mi kó pẹ́tí jẹ́ wa mi rẹ̀ ni ẹ má dà pàfẹ́ wọ́n tó ń tọ́ nànà dẹ̀dẹ̀ mẹ́ àti kọ́kọ́ àti oníkọ̀ mi rẹ̀ ní kàfínà ní kùnà kíláàsì náà àzán sanitizer ẹ̀ ẹ̀ àpàdé ká àpàfẹ́ rí alẹ́ bèrè mẹgàtẹ̀rẹ́ náà fi wọ́n yà ní social distance nínú pẹ́tí wọ́n mẹ́ga nókọ́nù kìgbùnkù mẹ́ no kọ́sì pé darí fi nọ̀ fi nà nọ̀ fún all of them la mẹgàtẹ̀rẹ́ ní àná wọn that's all tààrà ẹnu pẹ́tí la pàfẹ́ to the dinner not a very no figbo so that Marco Dolele here go do rabere Mauni Kodo can record to me at time. At time I become a phone na none of you Muslim or Ramadan fasting whatever. But you know be Ojo Bano Jogera be Mau Ato Nyafe Mvore Nyewa Mauni Tokeni so that Kodolele Ajele Nyagwana Meloko
Honorable, October and I'm negative. Leo Katama, the whole in a blade of COVID-19.
41,000 Ghana cedis.
Yeah, Ghana.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us.
And what Meloma do Ogali?
Yeah, okay.
Madam Yacha Karika.
Hello, okay. Thank you so much for joining us. That's Honorable Benjamin Kpodo, is the MP for Whole Central, member of the Finance Committee, and also part of the Local Government and Rural Development Committee. Thank you so much for joining us on STV and Volta Online. My name is Rastun Gamali Senator. Enjoy the day.